なんだろう、声がする。お、
かえあらら、もう見られてしもてん？
妖怪よ。それも友達のお母さんを退治なんてできないよ。だから僕なりに責任取って、平和的に作ってみせる。ということで、凛太郎くんのお母さん、平和的に僕とディスカッション。
あの時の陰陽師には人間の子をはらむのも悪うない。なんじゃ君は。
やればできると。春秋。よし、考えろ。凛太郎くんのお母さんを退治しないで、なんとかするには。
お母様の部屋の方からやね。
まさか。僕の大麻の力は、妖怪の妖力を払う。だったら限界ギリギリまで妖力を奪って、弱体化させる。もしかして、パパの力って一日に何回も出せないんですか？トリセツとかどっか
お母様やめて！その人、凛太郎の友達だ！
この不良娘が！
おいこらくすばば！
お話は済んだかえ？手こずらせおって。かまいたち。
担任したって、僕の妖力また分けたるから、なあ！
なんじゃ。イバラと比べて随分非力よのう、凛太郎。かわいそうに。お前から妖力を食いすぎた。
やめろ言うとるやろ。その人は僕の友達。
なんじゃこりゃ。この玉として分け与えている時点で分かっていたが、あんな目にあってもだ。ようやくこの忌々しい封印を解ける力が蓄えられた。あと少しじゃ。おう、腕一本切ったくらいで調子に乗る。そんな言葉を母に向けるなんて。
Everyone thought that he was a loser, but he unlocks SS rank powers after getting transferred to a school filled with ghosts and monsters. Haru was a lonely young man who used to teach at a Japanese high school, but his life there was extremely difficult as he was treated like a punching bag and humiliated every day. One day he decides to quit his job and starts looking for another school when one of his friends hooks him up with a teaching job at Hayaki Academy. Hayaki Academy, however, is no ordinary school, as it is specially made for yaokai or supernatural creatures from Japanese folklore, leaving him as the only human in a place filled with scary monsters. On the day of joining, Haruaki lands on the island, all pumped up with the possibility of starting afresh. He walks through the bustling market and soon reaches the academy where he meets the principal. After the principal assigns him a class, and after taking a deep breath, Haruaki enters the classroom only to be horrified by a room filled with magical beasts and deadly monsters that he only heard about in old horror stories. Haruaki immediately tries to dip, but the principal blocks his path and explains that Hayaki Academy is a school for ghouls and spirits from all over Japan, and this is Haruaki's big chance to shine as a teacher. Haruaki wonders whether he should simply quit everything and become a baker, but the principal got no chill and pushes him back in the class. Haru immediately hides under the table, but one of the ghouls named Mikoto calls him a chicken and tries to help him out of the table. Haruaki decides to stop being a bitch and takes Mikoto's hand only for his clothes. Soon the principal calls Haruaki out and hands him a ghoul dictionary to help him learn about his strange students and a collection of uniforms. After that, Haru re-enters the class and starts with a roll call, while also learning about the ghouls from the Yakai dictionary. He learns about Mikoto, the handsome blonde who keeps ignoring him, and Mamkichi, his friend, who is a raccoon dog. Suddenly Hijita enters the classroom with exotic gifts for his friends from Hawaii, but as soon as he learns that Haruaki is a human teacher, he knocks him down with a punch, forcing Mamkichi to explain that Hijita's beloved sister married a human, leaving him a bit cranky and sensitive. Later he learns from the students that a girl named Zashiki has not been coming to the academy since the winter of first grade, so he decides to visit her dorm and make her join for the class photograph. After school, Haruaki goes to Zashiki Place, closely followed by Mikoto and Mamkichi because they want to keep an eye on their teacher, fearing that he has some dirty tricks off his sleeve. Haruaki is dead serious in making Zashiki join the class because he doesn't want her to repeat a grade. But most importantly, she is a ghoul of good luck and her presence in the classroom will help Haruaki. Soon they reach her dorm, but the door is locked. So Mankichi offers to become a spirit and enter through the keyhole. But he is thrown out as the door is locked with a spell. But a hell-bent Haruaki pushes the door, breaking it down in one go, and the other two ghouls are surprised. Upon entering a dark room, they come across a geeky girl yelling at them to shut their trap, because she is busy saving the world. But it turns out that Zashiki is actually talking about a game, making them realize that she is avoiding the real world. Haruaki begs her to come back to school because the school is a real world where she can experience a lot of happiness. Moreover, she will look beautiful in a sailor uniform. The next morning, Mikoto overhears a conversation between the principal and two teachers, that Haruaki is a man with supernatural ghoul exorcism powers that he has inherited from his powerful ancestors who managed to drive ghouls away to a faraway land. The family of Haruaki is running a shrine in the mainland, so, for ghouls, Haruaki will have a positive influence on the students. Next day, Zashiki joins them, but to Haruaki's horror, she is wearing a trouser under her sailor uniform, which is totally against the school rules. Later, they all take a class photo together with Zashiki, and Haruaki is happy that despite the ups and downs, they managed to have a picture together. Haru is out with his new friends Miki, the one-horned ghoul teacher, and Hatanaka, the school counselor, for drinks. There he learns that the school has a physical examination day every year to send students for a checkup. The next morning, Haruaki asks the students to change into their sportswear and get ready for the physical examination, and the ghouls start panicking just like regular humans, afraid of injection needles. After calming the ghouls, Haruaki is leaving the class when Hatanaka asks him to run to the audio-visual room to help with the vision test. A clueless Haruaki tries to ask some questions, but Hatanaka, known for his short temper, ends up yelling at his face. After a long day at the audio-visual room, Haruaki walks back, but he ends up getting his head bitten off by Hatanaka, who angrily asks him to take the raccoon dog and the cat for special examination. At the medical room, Miki puts the animals inside a cage to be vaccinated by Dr. Takahashi. Soon, chaos erupts inside the cage, because the animals are dead scared of injections. Soon Hatanaka walks in and Miki grabs him by his scarf and locks him in, because Hatanaka needs to be given a shot too, because he is a Kamitachi, an animal that uses its sharp hands to cut things. When the doctor tries to give a shot to Mankichi, he jumps in the air, causing the syringe to pierce Haruaki's head. A terrified Haruaki asks the doctor if he will be fine. The doctor asks him to get a giant injection shot just to be safe. Next, Haruaki reluctantly climbs a giant ghoul named Uda to measure his height. He starts climbing the giant and ends up reaching his ear, but the strong wind blows his favorite book away, causing him to lose his balance. However, Mikoto, who was sleeping on Uda's head, manages to save him. Finally, Haruaki reaches Uda's head and tells Miki that the giant measures 130 meters, breaking the record of the big Buddha statue. After the measurements, when Haruaki starts climbing down, Uda accidentally ends up sneezing, causing the school windows to smash into pieces. But the intense sneeze ends up throwing Haruaki and Mikoto on top of the principal, and they both start panicking. Haruaki offers to pay for the broken window, but the principal asks him to clean the swimming pool instead. Soon Haruaki is on his way to the swimming pool with a few ghouls from his class. As soon as they reach the place, they are flabbergasted to see the ragged state of the swimming pool, which needs repairing rather than cleaning. Wasting no time, Haruaki and Mikoto start draining the toxic water, but suddenly an overly excited Hijita ends up falling inside the toxic pool. Everyone starts panicking and Haruaki almost pisses his pants, but thankfully Hijita swims out. However, he turns into a freaky, flirty ghoul, so they kick him back in the pool and continue working. But suddenly Mankichi starts screaming for help because the swamp ghouls called Kappa are pulling him inside the pool to make sushi out of him. They all try to help him, but the Kappas are stronger, so Mikito delivers his powerful kick and saves Mankichi. After some time, an injured Kappa comes out of the pool and warns them that his boss will kick their butts, and soon a huge ghoul with a body of the fish and face of a human emerges from the pool. The ghoul asks them to defeat him if they wish to clean this pool. This angers Tamao, who transforms into his cat form and jumps at the fish ghoul to eat him, but the ghoul eats him instead. Then it jumps to attack them, but Mikoto blocks him with his punch and asks Uda to turn into a giant and catch the fish boss. After defeating the boss, they ask him to join their biology lab with the Kappas and enjoy 3 meals a day, and the boss happily agrees. But suddenly the giant Uta jumps in pain because he has landed in the toxic water, and soon he falls on the other ghouls. This leads to cancellation of the cleaning and drive, and Haruaki gets a salary cut for failing at his job. The next day, Mickey invites Haruaki to join his ghoul studies class to learn about yokai. Haruaki agrees because he is thrilled to understand his students better. After he leaves, other teachers ask Mickey and Hatanaka if they don't fear Haruaki's powers, which the principal mentioned. Mickey says Haruaki's strength makes him a valuable person, so it's smart to keep him close. In the classroom, Mickey announces that Haruaki will study with Class 2-3, and the ghouls groan unexcited. Mickey asks for homework and Hijita claims he left it in the dorm, so Mickey tells him to fetch it, making Hijita leave the class. Mickey begins the lesson explaining types of ghouls like humanoids, invisible ones, and those that blend in. He says the most dangerous are magic users who can cause chaos. Haruaki listens eagerly, wondering about Mikoto's powers, but Mikoto, the bad luck ghoul, catches him staring and flicks a pen at him annoyed. Mickey explains that Mikoto and Zashiki are magic users whose abilities can lead to accidents, making them tricky to handle. Mickey reveals he's an action-type ghoul and offers to show his power, but the students panic knowing his history, but Haruaki claps encouragingly. He drinks alcohol to activate his ability and punches the blackboard, sending shockwaves in the classroom. Mikoto whispers to Haruaki that Mickey needs alcohol for magic and once destroyed half the school. Mickey loses control and starts throwing snake-like spells, and when a student tries to get help, Mickey squirts citrus juice in their eyes. He runs toward Haruaki, who freezes, unsure how to use his supposed powers. So Mikoto urges him to try, but Haruaki admits he doesn't know how. On the other hand, Hatanaka hears the chaos while heading to another class, and soon the classroom door breaks and Haruaki lands into the hallway. Mickey leaps after him, ready to toss him over the railing. But Mikoto shouts that if Haruaki stops, Mickey, Zashiki will ditch her trousers under her sailor uniform. Haruaki's uniform obsession sparks something inside him, and a burst of energy erupts, calming Mickey and leaving the classroom in ruins. Hijita returns with his homework and gapes at the wrecked-up classroom. The next day, Hijita follows Nuyuto, a one-eyed ghoul, begging for midterm notes. So Nuyuto snaps that Hijita's whining makes him like their foolish teacher Haruaki. Haruaki appears behind them, frightening them both, and they yell at him for his horror movie entrance. He explains he's helping Hatanaka with student guidance to improve communication. Hijita and Nuyuto point out that Mikoto's blonde hair breaks school rules, so Haruaki inspects it nervously, but Mikoto grabs his face and throws him away. Scared, Haruaki babbles that Mikoto can keep his hair if it's stylish, but Hatanaka overhears and snips Haruaki's hair sprout for ignoring rules. Zashiki walks in bragging about slaying monsters in her video game, but Haruaki asks her to stop wearing trousers under her sailor skirt. She kicks his face, calling him a creep, but when he persists, a mummified policeman Yaokai drags him off for inappropriate comments. After Haruaki gone, Zashiki offers gaming consoles to friends, but Hatanaka anaches them. He tells Haruaki to lock them in a safe to prevent magical theft, but Nuyuto and Zashiki overhear and run to the class to plan and take revenge. They learn Hatanaka has been taking phones from other ghouls too, so they plan a nighttime break-in. That night, Hijita, Nuyuto, the Otaka brothers, and Zashiki sneak into the office. But when they see the shadows, they scream thinking they're caught. But it's only Haruaki who mistook them for thieves. He offers to unlock the safe and return their games, but as he opens it, a magical cage traps them. Mickey and Hatanaka emerge, revealing it was a setup to catch rule breakers, and Haruaki was also part of the plan. The wind and thunder god duo Otaka brothers bring a storm, breaking the cage, and the teachers chase them through the halls. Hatanaka gives Mickey alcohol, boosting his powers, but the thunder god throws a bolt, missing Mickey but putting fire to Haruaki's jacket, and a panicked Haruaki hits the fire alarm. The chaos pauses as they realize it was a misunderstanding where the teachers thought the students were after midterm papers, not their games. Hatanaka returns the devices to avoid further trouble, but Haruaki's alarm triggers fire brigades now surrounding the campus, and soon the sirens blare as ghouls scatter to save their asses. The next day, Haruaki tells his students that he will be interviewed by the Yakai TV show called Ghoul Memoirs, who are planning to make a documentary on him. The students tell him that it is a bad idea, because he is a wimp who has a uniform fetish, and this panics Haruaki, who thinks that he should give up. But the ghouls stop him from doing that, saying that they will help him become the best teacher, so he doesn't end up embarrassing himself. After some time, a butterfly ghoul and her scary assistant introduce themselves to Haruaki, telling that they are from the TV show and they will interview him today. Haruaki takes them to his class to introduce his excited students who are all set to make a television debut. Haruaki stands beside his desk to teach but jumps in surprise when he realizes that he has brought his uniform collection book instead of the class textbook. He tries to calm down, but he smashes his body inside the blackboard again in fear, and Hatanaka from the other class asks what the hell is wrong with him. After the class is over, the butterfly ghoul asks Haruaki to guide her to the next class to record it for the documentary. The next class is Hatanaka, where the ghouls will practice real scaring, and Haruaki also joins in. Hatanaka opens a deserted classroom and reveals that it leads to Honshu, the deserted shopping district where they are supposed to test their skills. But a ghoul named Yutagawa points out that Haruaki is not a suitable scare target because he is a loner with no friends, so the news of the scarings won't spread quickly. So Hatanaka announces that old, kids, sick and pregnant women should not be scared. Soon the training begins and Yutagawa and Nuyudo are asked to go first. Soon they come across two ugly boys talking about their girlfriends, so the duo decide to make them their target. Yutagawa approaches the boys as a lost girl asking for directions, and she soon turns into a ghastly skeleton, scaring the shit out of them, and then Nuyudo blocks their way and scares them away with his one-eyed face. Next off is Mujina and Hijita, and suddenly they see a woman with an afro cut. So they decide to scare her, but as soon as they do that, the woman throws a lump of salt on Hijita's face. The woman is in fact an evil spirit catcher who is hired by two high school students, and soon she starts chasing after the duo with her axe in order to exorcise them. Later the duo tell Hatanaka the entire mishap and inform him that they have tied her to a tree for now. Next off is the cat Akasame and the cute raccoon Mankichi. Soon they come across two high school girls and Akasame turns into a kitten, drawing the attention of the girls. Mankichi turns into a raccoon dog, but instead of scaring, the two end up making friends with the high schoolers. Hatanaka decides to send Mikoto and Haruaki this time, and Haruaki is jumping in joy. On their way, Mikoto tells him that he has been losing less magic because he has trouble controlling his mind. Haruaki asks him to not worry because if something wrong happens, he will exercise Mikoto's magic with his powers. Mikoto gets ready to use his powers on a man with a dog, but his powers go wild and the dig ends up going berserk and starts chasing Haruaki. The poor Haruaki gets bitten, and at the same time he gets hit with a bicycle, making him hang upside down with blood pouring down his nostrils. Hatanaka asks him if he is okay, and a bitter Haruaki asks him to get another pair of glasses if he feels that Haruaki looks okay. Hatanaka advises them to scare people peacefully, and suddenly Mikoto removes the duo's clothes, scaring a poor woman away. Back in the class, the director thanks Haruaki for his time, but the students are not convinced, and they are sure that Haruaki has been filmed making a fool of himself, so they hatch a plan to help him. Later, when Haruaki is giving a final interview, Hijita turns up with the other guys, dressed as bad boys, and Mankichi explains to Mikoto that Hijita and others are playing as villains to highlight Haruaki's skills. Soon they start their act and tie a group of students to a pole, forcing Haruaki to scold them, but Mikoto asks him to man up and use more force. Finally, Haruaki manages to use a deep voice and the bad boys back off, giving a good scene to the TV crew. Then the director announces that they'll continue to shoot the club activities, but suddenly a marshmallow ghoul starts falling off the railing and Haruaki runs off to save him. But as soon as he does, he starts falling down too, but thankfully his beloved students catch him midway, and Mikoto scolds him for being an idiot. Later the assistant director, who is a huge man, pulls them up. After the shoot is over, the documentary is aired and Haruaki is happy, but his students still feel that something is off. After some time, Haruaki receives a call from his relative asking him to visit Osaka, and Haruaki agrees, while the three ghouls who overhear him are overjoyed because they will secretly accompany him to the mainland. The next day, Mikoto, Mankichi, Hijita and Zashiki reach Osaka to visit Haruaki. While they are in a restaurant having lunch, Mankichi points out that Zashiki has not returned yet from the toilet. Soon Zashiki comes out, but she is followed by two boys hitting on her, so she asks the guys to help her. Mikoto asks Hijita to move his and help their friend, but before he can, a man looking exactly like their teacher appears out of nowhere and drills some sense into the stalkers. The guy looks like Haruaki, but he is wearing a rather classy outfit with sunglasses. But suddenly Haruaki runs towards Mikoto and hugs him down the waist, causing him to gross out. Later they learn that the Haruaki has a twin named Amoki, and they are opposites. They hop into the car to go to Haruaki's home, and to save a seat they have turned Hijita into a muddy shake. Soon they reach Haruaki's family home, the Abe Shrine, and Haruaki tells Mikoto that he has explained everything to his mom, since Mikoto is the only one who knows about the shrine. Suddenly a man in kimono, who is Haruaki's relative, comes running to greet him, but Haruaki kicks him in the guts, to prevent him from telling the secret of the shrine. When the ghouls ask about the poor man on the ground, Haruaki replies that he is just a bound spirit. Haruaki also asks her mom to keep a secret from the ghouls that they are running a shrine. Inside, they sit together and Haruaki's mom is happy to see his son's friends and tells them about Haruaki's funny antics and childhood memories. But soon Amma walks in and starts insulting his brother for being a stupid teacher, and when his mom scolds him, he asks her to watch her favorite TV show. After this, he throws the ghouls out of the house, saying that his brother can't stay with a bunch of ghosts, and he will make him resign. He warns the ghouls to stay away from his brother. When Haruaki asks Amma about him being so antsy with the ghouls, he replies that he doesn't want his brother to live with a bunch of weird creatures. Hearing bad about themselves, Hijita bypasses the door and asks Amma to get over his brother's complex. But seeing Hijita in ghoul's form, M collapses in fear. Later, Haruaki's mother apologizes to them and asks them to join their annual shrine festival and help them with the shops. Soon they reach the venue and are shocked to see so many shops. Haruaki suggests that the ghouls help with the game shops, and they all readily agree. After setting up a few game shops, the ghouls start playfully bullying Haruaki, with Mikoto making a bullseye diagram on his shirt and Hijita almost hitting his tummy with his mud balls. Haruaki warns them that they should keep themselves low and avoid getting caught by humans. At night, the celebrations begin and Haruaki, Amma, and Mikoto are at the water balloon shop, and Haruaki offers to bring something to eat. After he leaves, Amma tells Mikoto that he doesn't have any exorcism powers, making his brother the only one who has the powers of the ancestors. He explains that when he was very young, their father asked him to not open a door in which a strong soul snatcher ghoul is exorcised and trapped. But accidentally their father ended up opening the door, and soon the soul snatcher gets out. The ghoul was about to steal their father's soul, but Haruaki unknowingly saved them with his magical powers. When Mikoto asks why they didn't tell Haruaki about his magical powers, Amma reveals that when they were about to, Haruaki had already thrown all the ghosts away with his strong powers, so they gave him a string of pearls to suppress that power. When Amma expresses his fear for his brother's well-being, Mikoto assures him that he will take care of Haruaki if things go downhill, because his powers don't affect Mikoto much. He asks Amma to trust his brother, who is an excellent teacher. When Haruaki overhears the conversation, he runs in to hug Haruaki in happiness and drowns him in the pool. Seeing them going along, Amma silently wishes well for his brother. The next day, the ghouls are at the station ready to leave with Haruaki, and Amma asks Mikoto to take care of his brother. The next day is Ghoul School's sports day, and the principal declares it open. The weirdo with a mask announces that the class who will come last would be asked to disappear, and the salary of their homeroom teacher will be cut. He adds that the teacher of the loser class will be forced to wear red underwear and teach, making Haruaki to protest for his human rights. Haruaki is given the task of collecting and checking the scavenger hunt relay question papers, and from his class Maizuka, Zashiki and Hijita will join. Soon the scavenger hunt relay begins, and the small Memekichi suddenly transforms into a big buff man with abs and strong legs, and becomes the first person to reach the box with questions. After seeing the question, Memekichi runs towards his class and picks up Mikoto in his arms, revealing that he has a best friend as his question, so he is taking his best friend Mikoto. Then he passes the baton to Zashiki, who runs off at full speed and picks up her question, revealing that he has to get the sword of the Dragon King. Seeing this, she changes her direction and runs off to bring the sword. Meanwhile, Hijita is desperately waiting for her to return, and soon he hears Zashiki calling his name, saying that she has brought the sword of the king. She hands over the sword to Hijita, saying that she had this in her dormitory because she once got it from the dragon but forgot to return. Soon Hijita draws his question, but realizes that he has got a tough one in which he has to select a classmate he secretly dislikes. He weighs a bunch of options like choosing Zashiki, as she will not mind since she is his childhood sweetheart. But he ends up getting confused, realizing that all his classmates are amazing. So he sees a crumpled question in Memekichi's hand and asks him to lend it to him, and he gladly does. The question this time is Hijita's crush, and he runs off to the toilets to collect Mikito and sprints to the finish line to grab the first prize. After the race is over, Haruaki hugs Hijita fiercely, and when Mikito asks Hijita to show his question, he realizes that he ended up reading it wrong. When Mikito sees that the question mentions a secret crush and Hijita chose him, things become awkward between the two, with Hijita desperately pleading that there has been a misunderstanding. A flustered Mikito tells Hijita that he wishes to remain his friend, and Hijita almost dies from embarrassment. The next is Mandaroga throwing battle, in which Haruaki gets hit by one, but recovers quickly when his dear students ask him to review their teams for the horseback battle. Soon the horseback match begins, and the contestants are supposed to take the headbands of other participants. They decide to follow Haruaki's plan, and according to that, Uda turns into a giant and hides participants in his mouth, while the fast ones like Mikito, Akiame and Memekichi are giving others a tough time. Memekichi turns into a long-armed tool and takes away all the headbands in one go and finally lands on his butt, away from his horse Mikoto, causing him to be disqualified. Soon a fight breaks out between others to take the headbands from Memekichi, but Haruaki's other students like the future predictor Kirashi manages to take them back. But while Haruaki is celebrating, Nuyudo's team is surrounded by other classes, but Hijita's magic mud swamps helps them, but suddenly Maeda joins in and turns into a mermaid, taking his teammates in the sky. The sudden flying makes Hijita sick, but Utagawa helps them with her skills and finally class 2-3 counterattacks. Maeda asks Hijita to use his mud swamp to get the other ghouls off their backs, but a sick Hijita ends up vomiting on Maeda, making him drown in a pool of nasty. After a lot of defeats, Uda and Nuyudo's team because everyone from class 2-3 has been eliminated. Hatanaka and Miki start celebrating the defeat of the class, but the principal reminds them that Haruaki's class still has Zashiki's team. It turns out that Haruaki advised her to turn invisible and snatch a lot of headbands, and hearing this, the principal realizes that Haruaki has a knack of organizing ghouls and asking them to follow orders. Thanks to Zashiki, Haruaki's class placed third, and soon Hatanaka asks him to bring sports equipment from the sports room, and Makoto accompanies him to help. While they are transferring the logs, a ghoul accidentally trips over a bunch of logs, knocking down Haruaki's ladder and making him fall on the floor. But suddenly the logs are about to fall on Haru, when Mikoto jumps in to rescue him and pushes him to a safe place, but Mikoto doesn't use his magic and trips over a log, which falls on him, and he is barely able to move. As soon as Hatanaka hears the chaos, he transforms his arms to cut off the log and save Mikoto, but he notices that Haruaki is sobbing in helplessness. To save Mikoto, Haruaki fills himself with a burst of energy, and he single-handedly removes the logs and runs off to the medical room with Mikoto. The doc says that Mikoto has a sprain and he will heal soon, but he can't participate in sports day now. His classmates start sobbing, and Hijita even turns into a liquid slime because of shock, while Memekichi attaches himself to Mikito and keeps crying. Mikoto assures them that it's not a big deal, so they should stop with their weird antics. The next competition is where each class selects a representative of an animal, an inanimate and a humanoid ghoul, and the three will participate in an obstacle relay race. But Mikito is the runner in the race, but Haruaki asks him to not participate. Soon everyone starts getting ready for the last match, and soon the race begins with the cat participating from Haruaki's class. He comes across the first obstacle, which is a log-style balance beam, but when the cat learns that it hurt Mikito before, he uses his long claws to tear it apart. Next obstacle is the toy heaven, but the cat closes his eyes to avoid temptation and runs off at full speed and hands over the baton to the silk sheet ghoul. The silk sheet sprints in full speed towards the finishing line, but he comes across the wind obstacle. He takes out the science club's special explosive and defeats the wind ghouls. He hands over the ribbon to Haruaki, who decides to replace Mikito, but he has to cross a 1,000-tier vaulting box. Everyone thinks that this is the end of Haruaki, but Mikito reveals to them Haruaki's powers. The others are scared that it might end up hurting the ghouls as well, but they still want to give it a try to help their teacher. Everyone runs off to take their positions and help Haruaki, while the principal appears behind Mikito and asks if he plans on using Haruaki's exorcism powers. The students appear before Haruaki in his favorite collection of uniforms, and the ground erupts in laughter. But his students motivate him to give his best. So Haruaki takes his position, and to everyone's surprise he climbs the vault at full speed, activates his powers and jumps to the other side, and everyone looks at him in awe. Haruaki manages to cross the vault, and then he clears all the other obstacles and finally crosses the leading racer with an unstoppable force and wins the race. Then he runs towards his students who are dressed in uniforms and clicks their pictures saying that he is honored. Enkido asks the pervert to return to the ground, otherwise he will call the police on him. Haruaki's class ends up winning, but they still make Haruaki wear red underwear because he embarrassed them in front of the whole school, and the parents complained that he is a pervert obsessed with uniforms. It's Mikoto's birthday soon, and he starts receiving presents because he is the popular one. Soon Haruaki enters the classroom and asks everyone to take their seats, but Memekichi points out that he is Haruaki's doppelganger. Mikoto pulls the fake Haruaki by his tie and class Hijita and Zashiki. Outside the classroom, Mikito asks why he came to the island and why the hell does he keep being a hopeless brother lover. Ama reveals that he has locked Haruaki in a toilet and now he wishes to become Haruaki for a day to see if he has fulfilled his teacher duties well, so the others decide to help him. Mikoto tells his classmates that Haruaki has lost his memories and that has caused some personality change as well. But suddenly Yutagawa enters the classroom, apologizing for being late because she was saving a kitten. Suddenly, she turns into a skeleton and Ama collapses because he can't deal with ghouls and is barely able to stand. The students try their best to bring Haruaki's memory back because apart from Mikoto and his friends, no one knows that Ama is impersonating his brother. They show him a sailor uniform, but Ama is unbothered. Later Yanagade comes with a medicine to help Haruaki, but it turns out to be of no use. After getting rid of Yanagade, Mikoto asks Ama if he has gotten used to ghouls now, but Ama is still scared of the non-humanoid ones. Suddenly they hear a loud thud, and it turns out that Koizumi, a long-necked ghoul, has tripped and Ama quickly picks her up to take her to the medical room, making her fluster, and a nervous Ama trips and falls, fainting again. He wakes in the medical room with the students crying and looking at him with worry. Ama realizes that everyone cares for his brother and they are trying their best to help him get well soon. So he tells Mikoto that he is returning to Osaka and he should keep this incident a secret from Haruaki. Later Mikoto rescues Haruaki from the toilet and kicks his ass for being a pervert again. Haruaki is on his way to the class thinking why the hell was he locked in the washroom, when he comes across Momoyama and learns that she is planning to give Mikoto a gift for his birthday, but she is a bit shy. Yanagata, who was hearing their conversation, offers to give Momoyama his customized perfume that will help her become bold and charming. He sprays a bit on the duo. After a while, when Hijita appears in the hallway, the scent messes with his brain, and he runs towards Momoyama, takes her hand and confesses to her with hard eyes, and soon everyone starts confessing to Momoyama. Haruaki starts running to save his life, and Yanagata explains that the perfume has the effect of attracting male ghouls. Nayudo, who doesn't have a nose and is not affected by the perfume, offers to make a curtain to help them. But suddenly they come to a dead end of the hallway. Haruaki calls for Mikoto to help them, so he appears in an instant and kicks the asses of the students, asking why the hell are they behaving like zombies in love. He uses his magic but ends up ripping the shirt off the boys, turning the entire school into a pervert. They start running again, but this time Haruaki asks the marshmallows to bring the water cage of the swimming pool boss in the courtyard. He asks Mikoto to carry Momoyama and jump in the water, and a handsome Mikoto follows the orders. As soon as the perfume washes off, everyone returns to normal, embarrassed that they are naked in the yard. Later Mikoto asks Momoyama if she is okay, and she thanks him for lending his handkerchief the other day and gives him a tanuki printed handkerchief. But when Mikoto opens it, it turns out to be underwear, and as soon as everyone sees it, they go wild, yelling that today is Mikoto's underwear anniversary. Momoyama apologizes and says that there has been a shuffle, because the underwear section was right next to the handkerchief at the department store. Mikoto politely returns it and runs off to kill his perverted friends who are still making fun of him. At night, the students arrange for an onsen bath because the water supply at the dorms has been cut off. At the female area, the girls are talking about their type of guy and Momoyama asks Zashiki about Mikoto's type. On the other hand, the guys are busy talking about the boys' stuff. After coming out, there is an awkward silence while the boys look at the girls as if they stalked the hell out of them, while Nuyudo runs after Yutagawa because he overhears that she likes him. The entire Hayaki Island is buzzing with the news of an animal ghoul kidnapper who kidnaps the animals, but returns them after shaving their hair. A worried Haruaki is talking to Miki when Mikoto asks him if he has seen Menkichi. Miki points out why the hell is Mikoto out of the class when Hatanaka must be teaching them. The others too barge in the staff room saying that Hatanka has not come to the class and other animal ghouls are also missing. Confirming their worst fears, Haruaki and Mikoto jump off the window to bring their friends and teacher back while Nuyudo informs the police. On the other hand, Hatanaka, Memekichi, and the cat realize that they are locked in a cage with other animals around them. Soon a crow ghoul emerges and introduces himself as the vice captain of the Karasu gang. The gang leader sees through his camera that the ghouls' friends are on their way to rescue them, and he comes up with a plan. He sends a huge group of ladies towards Mickey, who is technically afraid of women because he has 5 elder sisters who boss him around, and this has affected his dating life. Soon the women attach themselves to Mickey, leaving him stranded alone. Meanwhile, Makoto is looking for Haru and Mickey when hundreds of Haruaki clones start hugging him, making him realize that he has been trapped. While the real Haruaki comes across a convenience store, but almost wets his pants when he sees that 2 high schoolers are sitting in front of it. The marshmallow asks him to man up and face them, because if he backs down he will be a bad teacher. Hearing this, Haruaki confronts the rogues, but they start bullying him. This scares Haruaki and activates his powers, sending shockwaves and breaking the spell cast by the gang leader. Inside, the baddies are ready with their clippers to shave the ghoul animals and see their fur for thousands of dollars. When the kidnapper's secretary sees Haruaki's powers through his CCTV, he realizes that Haruaki is the person he was always looking for. The kidnapper's secretary appears before Haruaki and asks what magic he uses to break Karasu Tengu's spell. To hide his identity, Haruaki lies that he works in the factory, but the crow secretary was not buying his lie. Soon the captain of the gang comes and he learns that Haruaki is not actually Seme Abe but only his ancestor. He offers Haruaki to join his Karasu gang and not work for an ill-tempered principal. But suddenly the masked principal appears and asks Karasu to stop behaving like a kid and also stop taking his people away from him. Karasu accuses the principal for being obsessed with Haruaki's ancestors and Haru is dumbfounded. Meanwhile, Hatanaka and his students have managed to escape, but Memekichi is scared that the gang members will find them somehow and use them for food. Hearing this, the cat ghoul starts sobbing and confesses that he doesn't wish to die soon because he wants to become Nayudo's pet cat once he gets married. Hatanaka yells at him that he is a fake cat ghoul, and in that commotion, the minion of the kidnappers find them. Memekichi yells for his best friend and Mikoto soon appears and lands a kick on the kidnapper's butt. Mame hugs Mikoto and complains about what happened to them while they were kidnapped. But before Mikoto can do anything, the minion throws a sorcery stone towards them, making them run for their lives. Mickey manages to stop one, but the rogue throws a few at them and Mickey gets buried under one. Then the ghoul comes for Mikito, but he uses his magic and breaks the bridge, causing the sorcery stones to fall down on the principal and the gang's secretary and captain who were fighting with each other on who will keep Haruaki. The vice captain pulls them out and asks them to run for their lives, but they all get caught in a mud puddle made by Hijita. Soon all the ghouls of the Class 2-3 appear and Zashiki has already called the police. But the trio breaks free of Hijita's puddle and escapes. But the next day, everything settles down and Haruaki is glad that there are no more crimes. It's the day of camping on the beach at the outskirts of the island. But it turns out that Haruaki and his class have been tricked into staying a night at a haunted school building for their spookology test, organized by the evil Hatanaka. At night before going to bed, Haruaki asks his kids if they have girlfriends, but the ghouls have none. Soon Haruaki walks in, kicking Haruaki for talking romance with his students. Then he asks them to sleep if they don't want a good night kiss from Mickey. At night, the cat wakes up Nuyudo to take him to the bathroom, and on the way they come across Zashiki, who tells them that Yutagawa has not yet returned from the toilets. They go to the toilets together, and after some time, Nuyudo tells Zashiki that he is coming inside the girls' washrooms to look for Yutagawa. But as soon as he steps in, he starts viewing weird things and a hand drags him inside. On the other hand, the cat ghoul looks for Nuyudo, but gets chickened out when he starts hearing noises and strange sounds of footsteps. He crawls inside Haruaki's room and tells him about the disappeared kids. The other students too walk in, saying that 10 from their class keep on missing. Soon they hear Hatanaka's voice announcing that the spookology exam has begun and the alumni of Hyaki Academy will try their best to scare them. One of the alumni has a key to the main door, and if they manage to defeat him then they can escape. But if not, then they will spend half their vacation in extra classes. The students divide themselves in 4 groups, but suddenly a yakai with black teeth appears out of nowhere, but the ice school freezes it. Meanwhile, the group on the first floor is being chased by a classroom skeleton, an anatomical model, and a Kindru ghoul, so they hide in the medical room. Inside, they find their regular school doctor who also studied at Hayaki 100 years ago. He introduces them to evil yakai who have pretty faces as masks, but reveal their true face and eat others. Soon Hatanaka announces that only 11 remain, and Mankichi yells in fright that they will have to find the key before everyone gets caught. Yanagita declares that if they fail, then he will use his special medicine to blow up this place and escape. But suddenly Yanagita doubles up, indicating that a doppelganger yakai has run into him. Mankichi tries to scare the fake one with a rocket, but suddenly Yanagita comes up with an idea of using his medicine on the fake one. As soon as he throws the medicine, an explosion takes place on the 3rd floor, and the others get roasted, indicating that Team 3 has also been caught. Another group is on their way to scare Hatanaka, but they get freaked out when they see a night parade outside the window. The parade starts attacking them, and soon a skeleton train coach captures Zashiki and others, leaving